How much state you got in there?
We're gonna find out. Nine 27. Well, we've never had a recess before, so I don't know what you call it. We need to come back to order. Reconvene. Thank you, Alberta. All right. Is there any other public comment on this matter? Any questions? All right. Are there any other council questions, comments, concerns?
Well, I just would like to say, we have already bond debt of 4.3 or something. 1.9 and 2 point something, did you say?
Yeah, I think we.
3.8. 3.8 million,
In water.
yes,
3.8.
yes.
We had a balance of 1,695 in one and 2,225 in the other. In water.
How much do we pay a month on that, do you know, or a year or whatever?
I have to make 2 payments a year. I make a payment January 1st and July 1st. I'll go down and get it for you if you want to.
285. 285,000 is your annual payment.
Annual, 280.
It's pretty close to that.
That's great.
That's better.
Yeah, that is a lot of it. That is.
President Crabtree, anything else to add? All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns from the council? Is there a motion to approve proposed resolution 2018-21?
I would make a motion that we delay this for 3 months and immediately hook up well 7.
We have a motion to,
Table it for 3 months and hook up well 7.
What's that doing for?
That's what it says.
What's it accomplish?
well, let's get to a second first and then we can discuss. So motion
Sorry.
So, Dan,
to,
3 months?
Yes.
is there a second?
I'm sorry, John.
Is there discussion about the proposed motion?
What's that do for us?
It puts well 7 in the system. And that's where we would start if we had the bond or whether we were gonna do it this way. And then we can evaluate what that additional water is going to do and go from there.
I think it'd probably take longer than 3 months to get it all back, get it online, wouldn't it?
Yes.
How long would it take?
Depending on how it's procured, our last meeting, we talked about guaranteed savings contract or traditional design bid build. But
We cannot hear you back here, I'm sorry.
there would be, you'd have to follow bidding code. So it'd either need to be bid, so it'd have to be advertised for 30 days. Take bids, take those under advisement, have your financing in order, get bonds, insurance, notice to proceed, pre-construction meeting. You know, we could be talking 6 months, probably best case.
I amend my motion to 6 months.
Table, well, I imagine, can we, well, just to make sure, can we resubmit a pre-PER that hasn't officially been submitted, I guess? It wouldn't be tabling it, it would be effectively killing it, is that correct? With the resolution that's in front of us, 2018-21, the one that you sent me.
Correct. I mean, we technically did have the public hearing. The 5-day waiting period has ended to take written comment. The PER is what I would call a living document and can be amended at any time. Obviously, you haven't entered into any financial arrangement. You know, basically, that is preliminary engineering at this point. So at 30,000 feet is what we've looked at to come up with cost estimates and project scope.
It also gives us time to research some of these other options that have recently surfaced or could be looked at, that haven't been looked at.
How much money do we make a year in water? $1 million?
Correct.
How much is well 7 projected to cost? 800,000?
Yeah, 5, construction cost, 300,000 for well building, security disinfection, and 270,000 for connection of water main of well 7 into the system. So 570 construction.
70 plus another 12.5,
Yeah, 12.5% soft cost plus.
somewhere around 650, 700. And how do you propose we pay for this? Councilman Seward?
I made my motion.
Well, you said hook it up immediately.
Well,
Needs
I
to be
think
realistic,
we need to
but-
discuss that after we make that motion,
So there's no.
or after the vote.
All right.
I don't wanna vote on something I don't know how we're gonna fund.
We're doing that one.
We have a plan to fund this. You don't have a plan, you're just throwing out a delay.
We'll find it.
Do we have any further discussion regarding the motion to table for 6 months and immediately hook up well 7? Legal counsel, I guess, can they order the immediate hooking up of the well?
Can they order the immediate hooking up of a well?
As a legislative body, through a motion?
We're getting into the engineering aspect, which I think that they could make a motion to explore that option, but wouldn't that mean granting Board of Works and I feel like, so we're making a motion to order the hookup of well 7?
To take steps to get it hooked up, yes. I didn't mean to immediately go out there and throw wrenches on it tonight.
Right.
Immediately start the process, whatever terminology.
I'm honestly at a bit of a loss. That's an unusual motion and request. I'm not sure how it could be fulfilled.
All right, I'll amend my motion, and I make a motion that we delay this and table it for 6 months with the intention of doing things like further research and also hooking up well 7.
So is my understanding, Mayor, did you open this portion up as to whether or not Resolution 2018-21 is going to be passed?
No, there's no motion made.
Okay.
That was my question, but you're going deep into Robert's rules that I don't.
Procedurally, it would seem to me to make more sense of whether or not this is being passed, and if it's not being passed, is it being tabled? I think that's, A, is it being passed, B, is it, if not, is it being tabled or is it killed?
Well, I didn't get a chance, I would have voted for approval.
So we have amended motion. What do we need from the second? Do we need approval from the second to amend the motion? Yes.
Can you clarify, say that one more time?
So Councilman Seward, we had a motion and a second. He amended his motion. Do we need approval from the second?
So if we're just on Mr. Seward's motion, we have one motion for tabling essentially, and I have heard no other motions.
He amended just instead of immediate hookup of well 6, research and taking steps towards hooking up well 6.
Okay,
Or
so
well 7.
does the rest of the council?
I guess. Councilman Shockley, do you second the amended motion?
Yes.
Okay. That worked for you in terms of process of amending?
As far as the amendments, yes. Now whether it's passing, is that now?
No, that's not the question yet.
Okay,
Thank you.
yes.
Further discussion? All right, hearing none, I'll call the question as to the amended motion, which is the tabling for 6 months of proposed resolution 2018-21 for further research into other options that have been presented and taking steps towards the more immediate hookup of well 6. Is that well 7? Gosh darn. Is that
Yes.
okay? So I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed?
Okay.
Motion fails.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2018-21.
Any motion?
Second.
We have a second. Do we have any further discussion? I'll call the question as to the adoption of proposed resolution 2018-21. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No. No.
Motion carries 3-2. Proceed next to resolution 2018-22, which is a recommendation on hiring consultants for water projects. This is just something that I wanted to cover myself. We're going to be spending money on consultants as we proceed through this process. Council still has an opportunity before we get the third reading and finalization to decide they don't want to do this. There may be some repercussions from SRF in terms of when we can apply again, but it's still a possibility. So I want to make sure I get your recommendation as to the hiring of consultants to get this process even further down the road. So that's proposed resolution 2018-22. Is there a motion to approve proposed resolution 2018-22?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Call the question as to the passage of proposed resolution 2018-22. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Thank you for everybody who's here for the water portion of it. We've still got budgets to go if you want to stick around for that. If you're just here for water and want to leave, appreciate you guys coming. So we'll move next to proposed ordinance 2018-11, which is the 2019 budget. So after a workshop, I did change a few numbers from what I had drafted and sent to the council. There's a few numbers that I didn't change. I should have highlighted those for you. Things that I didn't change, and it didn't copy very well, I apologize. What?
Well, I think that thing I typed, even though we're not passing the minutes, that has all the changes on it.
Well, that gives the changes they recommended, but not, some of them I put into my
But then
document.
I think if they look at that and then you put your changes added to it, I think it makes it clear.
Yes, sir, could you please?
One per member.
The thing that I typed up is the thing that he recommended to be changed. It'll be in bold. Did you hear, Mike? The thing that I typed up is the thing that the council recommended the budget changes. When the mayor has additional changes, he wants. But this is what you agreed to at your council meeting.
Okay. So the easiest way to do this, my proposal didn't go with your recommendation on judge salary. It did go with your recommendation on court miscellaneous. It did not go with your recommendation on chief of police. It did go with your recommendation on patrolman first class, clothing, overtime, and part-time. Went with your recommendation on park infrastructure. Went with your recommendation on board of works. Went with your recommendation on mileage. Did not go with your recommendation on code enforcer, community development. Went with your recommendation on summer intern. Went with your recommendation on clerk salary, computers, and utility clerk. Didn't go with your recommendation on all of edit except for Main Street.
Okay, when you say didn't go, so what is?
I've used the original numbers that I submitted, so.
So the
This is
judge's salary.
I don't know, and I can't see. I don't know. I copied it, it didn't carry over.
You want to go down and get that original budget book?
Maybe. Okay, here I have it. So, for judge salary, I put in there 3,865. You guys wanted 2,653. For chief of police, I put in there 56,660. You guys wanted 54,750.
Say that one again, go into the path. Okay.
Chief of police, I put in there 56,660.
Okay.
At the workshop, they discussed 54,750. It's on the amendment page, which follows the budget. Sorry, I know I got things past that. Past that.
Well, if I didn't have a book here, I could go through it quicker.
Almost there.
That'd
There you
be
go, right
pleasure.
there.
All right.
Can we, what, take them one by one or something, or what? How are we doing this?
I imagine, because the majority of the council wanted these amendments that are provided in Amendment 1, that a motion to pass proposed ordinance 2018-11 with the amendments in Amendment 1 would be sufficient, and then we can discuss.
What does that do with those figures? Which figures are we passing if we make that motion?
The ones that you want. The ones in Amendment 1. So instead of the $17,500 I proposed for community development out of general, it would be 0, which actually, that should be 25.
No, because I think you're losing me too, because originally when they sat there at the meeting, for example, it's the chief of police salary, but then the patrolman's first class.
Right.
Because they did not approve of patrolman, they took it back down.
I kept it the same as what they requested. I wasn't going to fight about it.
So, should that not be on the amendment?
No, because I provided a draft proposal. We discussed it at the work session.
Uh-huh,
I came back from the work session.
uh-huh.
Some of the numbers the council wanted, I changed. Some that they wanted, I didn't.
Then why did we bother even having a work session?
To hear input from the council on proposed line items.
A lot of effort was put into it from our standpoint as well as yours. And I thought that was our job.
No, I understand, but we're going to disagree on some line items. And it's the executive's job to submit a proposed budget, and then from there, the legislative body can amend that proposed budget.
This is the same exact situation we had last year. Is it the Form 3 or Form 8?
Form 1.
Oh, it's neither of those. You guys disagreed on which form to submit, regardless of the disagreement on numbers. Whatever you submit as that final product, you can then, as the legislative body, change those. So you have to submit something by the deadline, and then it can be changed. That's just the initial submission. This is exactly what happened last year.
The proposed version is submitted by the executive branch, which is the graphs you have here, tables, I guess. And then the amendment would change the stuff in the table to the stuff that you want.
Well, I guess then that I want the amendment that changes
Right.
to what we want. And in that I don't have this in a paper copy, it's too hard to figure it out here.
Do we just make a motion to accept the figures that the council, the majority of the council agreed to in their work sessions and move in from there?
Assuming someone has those numbers and
Yeah, it's the same ones that I presented in.
then yes. So long as it's the majority of the council that had voted on the numbers, yes.
We have a motion for that?
I make that motion that we accept the budget with the figures that the majority of the council agreed upon at the conclusion of the work session.
We have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? I know it's late, but there's a reason I submitted these and didn't go along with what the council wanted, even though it would take a while to go through. I still firmly believe, and I wish I would have brought the minute book up here. Back in 1996, we were discussing at that time building code enforcer. At that time, Dale Huffer was the agency director as well as the building code enforcer. I think he did it for a few months of building code enforcement, and then he stopped. There was some discussion at that time amongst the council that we need to do building codes. We didn't want to pay for it. We wanted the county to pay for it. We should continue to have discussions with the county. 22 years later, we're in the same position. The county's not paying for building codes. They don't have building codes on the books. We have properties within the city of Delphi that should be inspected while they're being built. We've had this discussion back in 2016. I know there's disagreement. Beyond that, even if a building code enforcer isn't provided, actually back in '96 they talked about a code enforcement person doing, they had a code enforcement person, the way I read it, it was doing more than just building codes but other ordinances. But community development director is an important position for the city of Delphi. I can make excuses as to why we didn't get the grants. I could say that is because the grant for the elevator, or the reason why we have to turn back money on owner-occupied rehabilitation. There's a lot, I mean, some things happen, but it could have been handled better if we had a community development director. There's only so many hours in the day. Clerk Treasurer Aldrich and I are here a lot. To have somebody assisting with the grant end of things, with planning, with going to some meetings, would be extremely helpful, would be beneficial to the city of Delphi. So I put it in there as a full-time position, so you had code enforcement and community development director, and then some edit line items to go along with that for perf and healthcare and things like that. But that's my reasoning behind asking for that line item and for not changing it as the majority of the council indicated that they desired after the last meeting. For the chief of police, I still stand by that as a department head, he should receive the same hourly rate as the other department heads. Unlike the other department heads, he hasn't taken overtime. He isn't in perf.
Which that's taken care of with the retirement account.
Not to the level, I don't believe. I'd have to look and see what's civil perf. 14.2.
14 point, 11 point something, 93. Your police perf is 6 and something, it's like 19.
To begin with, just
Your policemen contribute on the certified salary of an officer of this class. It's a set rate.
so if we look at civil perf at 14.2%, and department heads making $56,660 next year, our contributions to perf is $8,045.72. That's before any overtime is accumulated, which means we're adding 14.2 on top of that for those department heads. The amount that goes into chief's retirement, I think the majority of the council wanted 4,000, and I decided not to mess with that. So it's less than half of what other department heads are getting in per contributions from the city. That's not right.
3% of their salaries.
I just took 14.2% of it, 56,000. And then the other item was city court judge. I left in there the $3,865, which is equivalent to what a common council member would receive in 2019. I believe he works, he's in here every week, almost every week. He thinks he works about 12 hours a month. I think it would be fair and equitable for the city court judge to receive an equal compensation.
He's only in here if there's any tickets to deal with. So many weeks, there's nothing for him to even come in for, so that's a little misleading.
And there's times that he has meetings outside of that with, I mean, I've met with him, the prosecutor and the city attorney. I know he's talked to some of the judges at the county. He's been in to talk to me. He does have responsibilities outside of being in the courtroom. So that's my explanation as to why I left those in there. But we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion to approve the numbers that the council wanted after following the work session?
Majority of the council.
All right, just the council. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1. That's the first reading. We'll have a special meeting September 17th. We'll get a second reading. We'll get it publicized. Yes, sir.
I will not be here on that day.
Is there a day that works better for you and for the rest of the council?
The 17th, I will be out of town. I don't know exactly. What is the Friday date before that? 15th,
14th.
14th? That would be the day that I would. But other than that, I won't be back in town till after the 21st of September.
We could do the 24th, September 24th. Would there be any objection to that?
Is it such that we can't do that tonight, or is that part of it? Can't do it tonight? Okay.
Well, we could do the second reading tonight. We'd have to suspend the rules of procedure, which means you need unanimous.
5-0.
Yeah, so we've already got to meet one time in September anyway to do second reading of the bond ordinance. So, I mean, it's up to you guys.
September 24th?
Yeah.
Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
At 6 o'clock?
What's 5:30? Yes, ma'am.
We had, on the financing package, put together a timetable. And at tonight's meeting is introduction of the bond ordinance. And at the next meeting, which you all, I think, are discussing, is introduction of a rate ordinance. And in order to comply with the state statutes and all the different meetings and notices, etc., that are involved, pushing that special meeting late into September might cause a problem with us meeting the October 1 deadline for the financing package that SRF has out there for us. So the meeting date you all just threw out there was what date?
24th or September?
24th? Yeah.
You
A
would,
week before October 1st?
Yeah.
Is that
it
too
would,
late?
that would require you to have another special meeting in early October for the public hearing and adoption of the rate ordinance.
Can we do that at our council meeting?
We wouldn't get the notice of the public hearing. I didn't mean to talk over you, Pat.
No, but my understanding was we had to be done by October 1.
We need to be, the rate ordinance I gave them, the potential that we would go before the middle of October. They would prefer October 1.
Okay,
But
okay.
the critical issue is you would have to have, in addition to your October 1 meeting, well, that's it. You would have to have an October meeting that allows you to get your local paper publishing a notice 10 days prior to the hearing. Is that correct?
That's correct.
When does your local paper publish?
Wednesdays?
On Wednesday. So, and how far in advance do you have to give them notice?
Friday.
Prior Friday.
That was Monday.
It's a moving target.
It's operated under Monday at noon.
Well, if we go much longer, I'm just gonna shoot myself, so let's get it figured out, okay?
So when do you want the, when
We
does,
could do it on Monday if it's already formatted and everything. We would get it in a Word document, not a PDF.
That's
So we
fine.
could just cut and paste it.
Yeah, Word document is no problem.
Those are a lot easier for us to work in on a Monday.
So the publication would be the 26th. So you're looking at the
So
6th,
the
so
24th.
8th.
So the week of October 8th would be the soonest you could have the public hearing if you had your special meeting.
Prior to the 26th.
Right.
How soon can you get the rate ordinance done? I mean, if we met September 13th,
No.
and if you're out the week of the
How about
17th.
14?
No, I mean, there's work that needs to be done, it takes time, I can't, no. We were planning on Monday.
The work he's doing for your rates normally takes 30 to 45 days in a normal situation, so he's already compressing it for this. Just so everyone in the room understands how long it takes to do the work they're doing.
Sounds like we're gonna do it the 24th. Well, actually. Does the bond ordinance have to be done by October 1st as well? Or could that be pushed out to October 8th?
We can do the bond ordinance.
I'm just, instead
Let
of
me-
doing a special meeting in
Let me
September-
qualify this, that the SRF has told everybody that's, not just Delphi, everyone that's participating in the pool, they want everything adopted by the 1st. I told them there was a chance that, as a meeting schedules and such, that it would potentially not be adopted on the 1st. They understand that. They haven't given me the official approval of that. When I call them tomorrow, I'll get an official commitment, so that's why I'm hesitating. But I believe, based upon the conversations that we've had to date, that if we move the adoption to the following Monday on the 8th, that they would be comfortable with that.
At this time, let's plan on the September 24th for the special meeting. If things change tomorrow, I'll let you know, and it could be that we don't have a special meeting in September. We have our regular meeting October 1st, then we do a special meeting October 9th.
You're still gonna need that special, because you gotta have,
You gotta have 10
Oh, we
days
gotta-
in between the two meetings. That's the problem. That's why I butted in when I saw that you were scheduling that special meeting. You need to have time for the publication to happen. And I would say that it would probably give SRF more comfort if the bond ordinance was adopted by October 1.
that's probably true.
Because that would give them a lot more comfort. And it would give city officials the authority to sign certain documents that SRF might want signed.
Now, what you could do is adopt at the meeting of September 24th, adopt the bond ordinance. As we've talked about, that doesn't compel you, well,